Hi, welcome. Today I'm talking with Christopher Adamson. Christopher is a teacher from the UK, and he's living in Prague. And that's about all I know. I've talked to Christopher online for a while, but this is the first time that we've ever met. So you're going to get to know him, and also I'm going to get to know him. And I'm going to pretend to be an interviewer. So a new role, a new job for me today also. Okay, let's begin. So Christopher, first question, tell us where you're from.
Okay, so I'm from the north of England. I'm from a small town, market town called Selby, which is near York. So it's like you have like London, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, York, and then kind of Scotland, not far above that.
The phone's ringing. Sorry.
It's fine.
It's not my phone. Anyways, it's funny because I told Christopher before this, turn off your phone. And then, of course...
Oh, I haven't even done it yet.
Okay. Okay, so near York, I know where York is. I watched the TV show Vikings, and the Vikings came and visited York a long time ago and made friends and did some lovely things.
Yes, it was called Jorvik. That was the Viking name, I think, was Jorvik.
That sounds very Viking.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's like excavations there, Viking excavations and things, and there's something called the Jorvik Viking Center, where you can see they've found the remains of the settlement and things like that.
Cool. I am a big museum nerd. I was in the Viking Museum in Dublin about a year ago. Yeah, exactly a year ago, and so maybe I'll check out York one day. Okay. Yeah. And next question. So you're in Prague. How long have you been in Prague?
I've been in Prague for like 6 years and 4 months, something like that. And I've been teaching the whole time.
Teaching the whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about teaching. How do you like teaching? What's the best thing you like about teaching?
The best thing that I like about teaching or being in education is that I have to continually educate myself in order to educate my students, because depending on what topics that we're talking about. So I've varied students from varied backgrounds, from many professionals, but it could be somebody from like medicine to science to academia to law. And so I find that I should learn the correct terminology for those types of things. And these are the kind of things generally people need it for their work. So we discuss their work. And so I need to find out about these things and be able to relate to them. And even when it comes to just general conversation, the general conversation usually, in my eyes, should be educational. So it should be about current events. It should be about like global events, technology, all these types of things, and political discourse and so on. So I find that I have to spend a part of my time looking into these. So I find that very enriching, because yes, I am interested in all of these topics and everything, but doing it with my job means that I have to try and not be biased. I have to present like an equal, balanced level of information. So that makes me go like a little bit further than I maybe would normally.
So you're not a scientist, but you've taught scientists about scientific expressions in English.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just, in the same way as it's just a certain terminology that's used. So, just if it's something very specific, then it usually there's a direct translation for that. But it's, like the same with law, where we use Latin with law quite a lot. And so I studied that, and so I know that as well.
What's maybe describe a typical lesson? So maybe a typical online lesson. So what? How do you start it? What do you do in the middle? How do you end it? Just typical lesson.
Yeah. So usually, what I do the first time that I meet somebody is I establish, okay, well, why do you want classes? What is it that you want to learn? What is it that you want to do? What have you learned before, and how would you like to progress that, and so on. So there's a plan that we create, and every lesson we basically go back to that plan, and then we'll change it, add things, remove things. And so usually it will just be like a chat introduction to the classes. Just, oh, hi, so what have you been doing? What did you do at the weekend? How's your sister? How's it going with work? How's it going with this project? And so on and so on. And then we'll then go look at the plan, and it will be, okay, so what do we want to do today? We've got the option of looking at some conversation topics. There's a couple of things which I use, like Breaking News English is a good website where they take news stories which are around now, and then there's a few exercises, so there's that. And then we'll decide whether, okay, we'll do that, or we'll do grammar, or whatever. And depending on the length of the lesson, we would refer back to the plan at some point. We might not need to if it's only an hour. If it's only an hour, then that would pretty much take up the time there. And it also depends on the frequency of the classes. If it's just one class in the week, then okay, fine, we're going to focus on this. If we have more than one class, then we would maybe focus on different areas that we would do on different days, and we can mix and match that. I can't hear you. The audio is gone.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm using a microphone. I muted it. So. Just kidding. Okay. Do you have any big success stories or favorite success stories, like a student you met who was here and you took the student to here?
Yeah. There's one in particular that kind of leaps out, and as an English teacher. I guess there's a certain selfish element to losing a student. Like, you don't want to lose a student, generally, And so I had a student that I was teaching for probably about 6 or 7 months. We had maybe something like 3 hours a week together in 2 classes. And at first it was just doing like a little bit of business English, and then we moved on to doing some interview preparation for a job. So we were doing things like going through job history and talking about the job and educational history, this kind of stuff. And we really got to the point where she ended up getting the job, which is in the pharmaceutical industry. And, well, she got the job, and we had the classes for a little bit longer. And then after so long, it was like, okay, well, thanks a lot for the classes, but, now I've got this job, and I've increased, like she did. She, I guess because of the frequency of the classes and how the involvement, but her fluency increased, the error correction was needed like a hell of a lot less. And there was just a massive improvement in that short amount of time. And it was just like, okay, well, I don't really need the classes anymore. I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And so, I was really happy. It was great. I was a little bit sad because, like I say, it's sad to say goodbye to a student, even unselfishly, because you form a relationship. But I was also very happy that she got what she wanted, and we'd managed to accomplish it in 6 months or something like that. So that was great. Yeah.
So she wanted this job. She didn't like her present job. She needed better English. She met you.
No, she'd been on maternity leave, so she hadn't really worked with English for years. And so she wanted to get into a similar job like she had before.
Okay, but she needed English, of course, for the job.
And she needed to improve it as well. So it wasn't even like oh, I want to remember how it was before. It was, I want to do the same kind of job, but in English. So then I've got more options. And yeah, we were able to accomplish that. So yeah,
it was accomplished.
Good. Yeah, it was great. It got like this nice, warm kind of like feeling, you know, like when it was just like, yeah, thank you so much. You've given me so much. And she wrote a great review on Teach Creature as well.
Ah, good.
So that was great.
What is a first lesson like? I know for my students, after a lesson after a month is different than first lesson. So what does the first lesson look like? The very first?
Yeah, well, I usually dive straight in. So the first class is usually through email and everything, and through messaging, we have an idea of what they want to learn and what their learning objectives are. But when we first meet, then it's basically we create this plan. So, you know, it usually doesn't take that long. I have like a template which I use, which is essentially, and I explain all of this to them. I explain how we have the plan, which is essentially what are your aims. Then we have like a section for grammar. So these are like any mistakes we notice in grammar. Here's materials we'll use for listening, reading, watching. Here's homework. And then here is if we want to do any testing or anything like that. So I go through all of that with them and we create it. And then I introduce them to the vocabulary list and explain that. So that's basically just whatever vocabulary that comes up, whether it's passive or active, we add it into there. Then we have figures of speech, and then we have pronunciation. And with each of those, there are references. So for the vocabulary list, we have like an American dictionary, a British dictionary, and an etymology dictionary. And then also Lingui, which is useful sometimes more so than Google Translate, because it can show you in context the words, which is easier for them to use. And then we have a little bit of a look at the phonemic alphabet. And so once I introduce all of that, explain how it all works, which is essentially repetition in different forms. You know, repetition is the mother of all learning. So here's the first point. You think you know this word, but you don't. We add it. Okay, now you're having trouble remembering this. What's the history of the word? Well, I'm having trouble with the spelling. What is it? It's got this weird ending. Okay, so let's look at the etymology. Why has it got a weird ending? Well, it's because it comes from French. So we don't pronounce the U, or we don't pronounce the Y or the T on the end. So we have this certain sound to it. And so this is, like I say, to have these different forms of repetition. Anyway, once that's out of the way, then we just dive straight into whatever it is. So if it's conversation, then we generally pick a topic. There's a great resource I have called Taboos and Issues. And so it's lots of topics that people generally have an opinion on. And we start with that. In fact, I do start a lot of classes with that. And of course, it really depends on the student. If they obviously, I give them as much control over the learning experience as what I provide. So if they're very forthcoming and proactive, then they can join in, and we might just talk about their job or why are they learning English, what is it they want to get, and then like discuss something and go from there.
So it sounds like your lessons are very structured. That's good.
Yeah, it's like
going first, second, third.
Yeah, there's definitely a structure on introducing the learning technique which I use. And then I guess the structure is there for something to rely on. You may not need to rely on it if somebody is just comfortable to dive straight in themselves and You know, I encourage that for them to open up and to ask questions and to not be shy and, you know, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool. Great. Well, I don't want this to go on. Actually, we're kind of out of time. But quickly, Christopher, tell us about your hobby when you're not teaching. What do you do?
I run a theatre company, English-speaking theatre company. As well as that, I direct in that. I do assistant directing, producing. I have a partner who we started this together. And I do acting as well. So sometimes I get some television roles and been in a feature film and hopefully get some more film work. And
tell us about the film role that you had right before the pandemic hit.
The corona. Ah, yes. Well, I can only tell you vagaries because I do have like a NDA and things, but a non-disclosure agreement. But it's a TV show called Carnival Row about this detective in a kind of fantasy world in a way, but mixed with a human world, like from the Victorian age. And Orlando Bloom plays a detective in it, and Cara Delevingne, I've never heard of her, she plays like one of the fairy fae folk. And I am basically playing a character who, let's see, I'm trying not to give too much away with it, but it's just, let's say I tell people what to do without giving the character name or the specifics.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, Prague is a big film shooting location, very popular film shooting location because it's cheaper than the US and there's a lot of cool settings. The backgrounds are very interesting. It can actually, I remember one time I was watching one of the Bourne Identity movies and the scene was Prague and I was like, oh, that's Prague. And then at the bottom it said something like Vienna, Austria or Budapest, Hungary.
Yeah.
They pretend it's a lot of cities.
Yeah, Budapest and Prague have quite a lot of competition. Budapest gets a lot more, and it's because the government subsidizes it a lot, and there aren't as many fees here. But yeah, I've had the same. I've been watching a movie since I've lived here, and I'm like, I know that street. I know where that street is, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll see people, other actors who I know, and it's like, oh, here we go.
Cool. All right, Christopher, thank you very much. It was good to get to know you. Good to meet you.
Thank you, Ryan.
And what else do I say? If students want to get to, if students want to meet you and have lessons, they'll have the contact info. So
yes,
they'll have everything they need. And I think that's everything. Okay, thanks, Christopher. Have a great day.
You too. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.